Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to study about what are the strings and what are the operators. Now comes a point like what is string, how strings are made, how strings are satisfied with various variables. Now comes to a point how we define string. What is a string and what are the variable punctuations in your string. Now, a string is a collection of alphabets, a word and other characters. It is one of the most primitive data structure, and most importantly, it is the building block of data manipulation. A Python string is a data type, be it is a letter, be it is a number, be it is a punctuation, or any key character. Now comes an important point how a character in a string is being defined. Okay. Now a string is just a sequence of your character. We can say like a character is simply a symbol. Okay. And like we use for example in our English about the character. There are 26 characters, alphabets we can say in English. Now Python hasn't built a string that class named as str, as we already know like it is used as an str as a string punctuation. Python strings are immutable, which means we cannot change it anytime with any one that has been created. To initialize any of the text with a single quote, with a double quote. Oftenly we also use a triple quotes too. Either we can use a single, either we can use double or the triple part. And obviously, to use any of the quote in a string, we use a backslash in that. Suppose it is a subtitle and we need to shift as in we need to include a quote, we use a backslash in that. What this backslash tells us? It tells us that it has an interpreter, which is apostrophe s, not an opening quote to any other string. So we used to ignore it. Okay. Oftenly in Python, it is treated as a special type of list too. Mutable, why it is immutable, the Python strings are immutable. Why it is that this means we cannot change it. Anyhow, if we maintained it, we cannot change it without. Okay. Now comes why a string has been used as an ASCII code too. Okay. The conversation of your character is just a number, which is called the encoding. It can be reverse process, that is for decoding, and the ASCII and the Unicode are just in the same part, which is used to for the manipulation of any of your zeros or ones in that. And a string is a sequence of Unicode character also. The Unicode was introduced to include in every character in that, which is in the languages, also to bring the more of the uniformly encoding also in that. And remember one thing, a string is a sequence of characters. Okay, a string is a sequence of character. If you are remembering this, like why it is said and how it is said, you will never forget the strings in Python. Now comes most importantly the slicing. Now what is slicing and how the slicing has been maintained in upcoming, like slicing and iterations and indexing. These are the three words we generally going to use in our Python, even in your list, even in your the tuples, in your dictionaries, in your sets, and every time we're gonna use it also. Okay, so try to grasp up the things properly in your slicing, indexing, and even though the iterations. And okay, now what is slicing? What slice means actually? The slice is just a function which returns a slice object. Okay, slicing means taking a part of a string, as in cutting it up. Suppose it's geeks for geeks. If I'll write geeks separately, for separately, and geeks again separate, there is three parts. Okay, when I again differentiate or cut the word of your geeks, it is Geeks. Okay, it's 5 number. So if I'll cut the geeks also into the 5 general lanes, it would also appear the name as in geeks also. Okay, slicing means taking out some of the strings and you're cutting it up anyway. Most oftenly, it is used to take part in your strings as well as to analyze it or to use it in another part of coding. Suppose if I'll say that your coding is in part of your coding is your part of your structural part. Okay, it will not be genuine. When I'll say that a slicing has been done to formulate a particular characters in it, it has a genuine meaning. So most probably it is just an often useful to take part of a string or to analyze it or to use it in any another part of your code. And slice of object is also being specifically means to how to slice it. A sequence to slice it. We can specifically slice a character or any of them end to end or where to end. Okay, it is just a step to follow it up. Now here's an example. We have written the Python. Okay, if I'll say that I have to write a program to check if a string contains a valid email address or not. So what I'll write it, there should be the character, there should be a string slicing, part of head or not. It depends upon how we generally going to access that points. Now why actually the strings are important? Now if I'll say why your laptop is important, it has sequence meaning. It is obviously important. You need a laptop for solving coding or taking interviews or any of that. It has a meaning. Now why the strings is important in Python? First of all, it has a sequence. Okay, now sequence are the strings. Now how the sequences are there? Either they can be on your capital letters simply, or in your cursive letters, or in your small letters, or numberations. Second part is the database record contains strings. Every database record contains a string. If I'll ask you one thing, what your home is comprising of, you will obviously say that it is comprising of rooms. In rooms, there is further categorization. It has a bedroom, almirah, then your dressing table. It has further categorization. When I'll say ask you again, like what is there in your almirah, you will say your clothes. Okay, so there is a categorization from house to your rooms, then your rooms to your bedrooms and almirahs, and further there are the items in that. So it has a storage of database. Database always contains your strings in it. And third one is the HTML string is one of the biggest string in the formulation part, where you can use as in concatenation, where you can use as a repetition in that and all. Now this is an important. Okay, now this is why this is an important part. Like there are some characters which you don't forgot or any of that. Just remember these characters. These are the most like useful characters we often use in your strings. So number one is your double backslash. We can say that as a slash or double backslash. Okay, and your like backslash means like we are keeping other than keeping a about that. Now if we will add a backslash in a single quote, that means keep the single quote in that. Then again the double quote. Then for the new line, backslash n is used. For a tab, backslash t is used in that. Now the slicing strings. How to do a slicing and how the slicing is operated in a particular observations. Okay, now I can say, if I'll say you that the strings have indexes. Now do you know what is indexes in the string? No, we generally used to know about what are the indexing in Python, how the indexing is done in your Python. Particularly I told you we often use the slicing, indexing, the iterations okay in that. So the Python strings in the indexing part is just a way. Okay, it is just a way to refer the individual items with the iterables by its position. They are being particularly positions in that. How we're joining it out with the different iterations in that. Now here is the forward index, here is your reverse index, here is your the basically the modulation in that. Okay, the modulations in that is also included in the forward lid part. Now we will be learning about the more of the examples in this only, like how we use the iterations in the indexing and your the slicing in this. Now comes is your slicing in Python, how to specify a slice. We give a start position, we give a end position. We used to separate the two values with a colon. Okay, we use the colon in that. Now how it comes as in colon, what is, as I already told you, the slicing the Python is means like it has to return a slice object. Okay, it is just a sequence of your object of any type. That a type we can discuss about the strings, bytes, the tuples, the list or the range. Okay, or it can be an object also. In object we particularly use the getem, get item, or length, anything we can define also. Syntax of using is that we can use a slice stop or slice stop, start stop start. Okay, this is the parameters too, and the return parameter is one of the most important, because if we don't return it the function, it will not execute. So a returned a sliced object containing the elements is only on only range only. Okay, that how it comes in that. Let's perform one of the example in that. Obviously we will be learning about the rules also. Let's perform one of the examples. This is the program for slicing. Okay, if I write a string, I'm writing a string that is the backslash. It's geeks for geeks. I'm writing it as geeks for geeks. Okay. And after that, if I'll say that S1 is equal to the slice. Slice of whom? That also just note down. Okay. Again, I am writing slice 2. The slicing of 1 comma 5 comma 2. I'll print it. I'll print the 3 commands. I'll tell you how I did it, what is the meaning of this. Just look the execution. Okay, now I am just printing a string, and that string contains my S1. Okay, again I'll copy this. Again the same part is your S2. Correct? Now when I'll do this, just look the output. Let me just remove the console part. Just look the output, what happened and how it happened. Okay, it is just a Python slice string. Okay, not an array, not in the listing of tuples or any of that. It is just an, like we can say that it is just an example for slicing in strings. Okay, now the string name. What is the string name? It is geeks for geeks. Now S1 we declared up to 3. S2 we declared up to 5 numbers, that is 1, 5, 2. After that, just a minute. Just in like to check out the print, if I'll write again that the print string, print string. Okay, now check. If my string is already declared, that is the geeks for geeks. Now the second command is print string slicing. That also printed print slicing and geeks for geeks instead. Now third comes the statement is print S1. Now I am printing the S1, but the S1 contains the slice of what? Of third part. Now up to 0, it is coming as a 3 part, and then minus of your indexing of your last end part. Now it has came as a geek. Okay. Now when I did individually, it will give me ek. Why? Ek. It is 5 also, 2 also, in that as an indexing and slicing both has done. Okay. Arrays have its own different determinizations. Okay. Arrays have its own completely different adjusting and all. Now comes is the string slicing rules. What the rules? Or obviously you saw the program. Now it will be better like when you understand the rules also. Now in your string slicing, there are some rules. First rule is if you don't specify a start, it defaults to the beginning. Now what it means is I haven't start this. I haven't give a start, but I give a ending position. So it will already always take the start as a default beginning. If I suppose this is my string, okay, and I haven't gave any of your string name.